today, the movie Kashmir Files is trending. At least at the time when I was writing this, the movie was on trending. The movie whose promotion is visible not at all. Yes, like normally we see commercial movies when they get released, they gets good media coverage and in the TV channels or talk shows or wherever, I don't know, they gets promotion. But for this movie, there was nothing like that. Even I was one of those persons who never heard of this movie or who never knew that this kind of movie is getting released or something like that. But thanks to the Lord, one of my friends mentioned the name of the movie to me, and that person went to the movie on the same day it was released, which was 11th of March 2022. At very first I started listening to him, I just thought one thing, that if it is a movie like this which he was describing, then how censor board allowed it? Because most of the time censor board doesn't allow any movie which goes against the clean image of a particular person in the country. But me and my friend were walking, and even though I had not heard a lot of things about the movie, I was just a little surprised that previously I never heard of this incident. I don't know why this was hidden in all the newspapers you can see, or it was hidden in the history. Like, I am born in 2000, so in all these years I never had heard of such horrifying incident. I mean to say, in Indian history there is an incident called Jallianwala Bagh massacre. This incident is still covered in a lot of Indian books of history or even many school books, where the government thought it is right to be published so that people can understand what we went through and how we can learn things from our history. And in this movie, the creators called it a genocide. But I would say that this was also a kind of massacre. I don't know how much of this episode is a review and how much of this episode is a fact check, because it's been 2 days since I watched the movie, but still I just can't get that out of my head. Because it was not about pundits. It was not even about a religion. It was about humanity and their mentality. Clearly the movie showed that the people living over there, they were manipulated in such a manner they believed it. It's not even like they were thinking about it, but they were really believing that Kashmir is a different country. It's not belonging to Pakistan and it's not belonging to India either. And those people believed at that time that India and Kashmir were different. Also, in this movie, the another part which I like is there is no conflict shown between Hindu and Muslim. Even you can see that this is not a movie about Hindu-Muslim conflict, because people are saying that this movie is about the Kashmiri Pandits, and whenever we hear the term Pandit, we relate that word to Hinduism, which again is a religion. So I just want to let people know that this movie is not about any religion. This movie is about only one religion, that is terrorism. The way in today's world we talk about the attack in Mumbai in 2008, this movie is also portraying a similar kind of incident. Incident which was such shameful that it should be remembered in Indian history, just like the Mumbai incident, because terrorism has no religion. There is no Hindu terrorist, there is no Muslim terrorist. Even though when I entered the theater, the movie was already started, and I don't know how much I missed. But by the time I entered the theater, I looked at the screen, I went to my seat. So, at whatever point the movie was, I was already hooked. And for us, it's very casual to see guns or bullets in movies because we are used to watch it in movies. But before entering the theater, when your mind has already the information that this movie is based on true incident, you will feel a different kind of chill. And I don't know why they labeled this movie genre as historic and thriller, but I think they forgot to add one more genre, that is horror. I mean, if you watch the movie, you will get to know what I'm talking about because they portrayed all the incident with proofs. Means whatever incident were shown in the movie, they also showed real proof of that. Obviously, the story which we are going to witness is of 1990, where there was no existence of social media or smartphone. So newspaper were the only source of data which we can get about like what happened in the past. Okay, now before discussing the depth of the movie, let me just discuss the whole summary of the movie in short. Plot of the movie is very simple, that after the incident in 1990, a grown-up man comes to a family in 2019 when everything seems to be sorted. Now, point to be noticed that even in 2019, when we are watching the story, the family in which the young man arrived, they were not staying inside Kashmir. And young man Krishna came here because he had ashes with him, which was of his grandfather's. And he met with his grandfather's four closest friend, and we will get to know these reasons in future. From that time, the movie swaps between times to times, means sometimes they are showing the old suffering of the family versus the present time. Even though I should not say versus because it's not a comparison, but anyway, it was really confusing, the swapping thing. But I don't have any words to praise the writer in certain point of time, because when I did my part of research of the movie or the fact check, when I did looked upon the things, the data, the information which are available on the internet, I found out almost 98% of it was true. Now, obviously, it's a movie, they will exaggerate a certain thing which they need to just connect the storyline and make the whole thing meaningful. And there is nothing wrong with that. But I just can't believe what I found out. Like, what they showed in the movie was so close to the reality. In the movie, there was a character called Radhika ma'am, and the way she was speaking in favor of the terrorist, in the very first lecture, I was convinced that she was putting some spark. She was trying to raise an army of Indian people to fight against the government of India. Because we all know that India is a democratic country, and if we have to change a law, we can only do that by gathering mass number of people. So I noticed that the Radhika ma'am really exists with the name of someone else who really tried to raise a lot of conflict. No, I won't talk about JNU because people think it was good because Deepika Padukone went there to support. Moving forward, I really shocked watching all those incidents, the name depicting the real terrorist or the figures, the pictures with whom real life matches so much. And believe me, all those people are still alive. Also, one thing I noticed in this movie is that the power and the weakness of Muslims. Yes, I am talking about a religion right now because this is the thing which I wanted to tell since a lot of time, but I was not ready for it, or I never knew how to portray that in a way that nobody will misunderstand what I am saying. So, the thing which I observed about the Muslims, which again I am telling is their power as well as their weakness, is their religious beliefs. I mean, they are so deep believer. They are so much religious that it is very easy for other people to manipulate them in the name of their god. And those innocent people, I don't know how they get ready to do those stuff. There was one interview which was depicted in the movie, and I saw the real version of that interview which was released 9 years ago, where the terrorist is confessing that he killed at least 20 people just because they were Pandits, means Hindus for them. But again, I am telling that don't fall for the trap of religion and don't go to the religion of this guy, because yes, he killed those people because they were Hindus, but he was not from any religion. He was not a Muslim, but he belonged to the religion terrorism. And when I was watching the interview, I don't know why, but I observed that he was brainwashed in such a heavy manner that he was ready to kill anyone. I am not telling almost anyone because he was literally ready to kill anyone. He said he can kill anyone, including his own mother, and for that he just need an order. And I just can't believe, like, they mentioned that they are getting training or something like that. And this is not a surprise. Even we have seen this in a lot of other movies, like in Phantom we have seen terrorists taking innocent people out of their house saying, "Your father died by Indians. Now it's time for you to come with us to take revenge of that from Indian army." Even the genocide which took place and on which the movie is mostly based, that was also created in the name of Indian army. Yes, they were so sharp killing people and framing someone else that they took a disguise of Indian army to kill those pandits. I mean, how can people be so intelligent and so coward at the same time? Anyway, so talking about the facts of the movies, I really liked it a lot because all the minute details that all the people were given AK-47, they were marching on road like armies. These little details are very clearly mentioned in the movie, which you can notice and understand if you watch it in that way. One more detail was also there, that a judge was killed in the marketplace of Srinagar, and that incident was actually true, but the reason is not shown in the movie. Little bit research I did and I came to know the possible reasons to kill that person. Obviously, the first reason was that he was Hindu and he was powerful, so when they shot him dead, they wanted to give this message to all the other people that it's really easy for the terrorists to kill those pandits too. And the second reason to kill that judge was because that judge declared death penalty of a terrorist of their own organization 3 years ago. Other than that, there are incidents of killing those Air Force people, and I don't know how many and like what not is there. I don't know, there are a lot of disturbing scenes which I just can't get out of my head. Not because they were people killing other people, but because of the lack of humanity. I just can't imagine what those people went through, and after that they were shot dead. Anyway, as the review will go on, so let me just quickly tell you some cons of the movie which you can say I don't like. The first con of the movie which I felt is acting. I mean, Mithun Chakravarti, Anupam Kher, these people are so brilliant actors. I have seen their works in very diverse movies, so I can clearly tell these people are really fine actors, and I can clearly tell just by looking on their performance in this particular movie that it was not even there like 75% of the performance which was brought on screen. Yes, I understand that this movie's stories may be very problematic in terms of mental health because Anupam Kher is also a Kashmiri Pandit. At least he said that so in an interview. So I can understand that during the shoot he can be really depressed, he can be vulnerable, he can also get mentally unfit, he can be sad, he can cry, but on screen I have seen extremely better performances from the same man in other movies. So that was really a minus point for me. Maybe because the director was not able to make the actors to take out their 100%, because we all know that actors acting depends upon the director. I'm not saying that they haven't tried and they were just making the movie to make a movie, but the performance could have been better. Now there is one more con which I didn't felt, but the friend of mine who was with me, that friend felt this con. Now, when she mentioned this to me, I felt like yes, if she can feel that, many other people can also feel that who don't know much about cinematography. Like, the camera movement for me was really good. It was all natural. Means if someone is shooting a video from a handheld camera, you can see some shakiness in it, and that effect was provided in this movie in a lot of scenes. So my friend was complaining to me that the cameraman was really bad and she didn't like how the camera moved. So yeah, that point of view might be of many other people's. Even personally, I don't feel like the cinematography was bad because I felt it was very natural and it was very beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. Other than that, I would like to tell you that the colors of the movie, they really did amazing job with that because the colors were so natural. There were no oversaturated skies or reds or yellows or fire. Everything seemed so natural. One more appreciative thing of this movie which I noticed is there are no bed scenes in the movie. I mean, most of the movies or series which are intentionally made to show the history, they still contains bed scenes, maybe to promote the show or something. But in this movie, there was no molestation, no rape showed, which I felt is a comfort zone for me because after all these deaths, and even there was one humiliating scene, but still if I see a person getting raped, I just can't imagine how much bad I would have felt. And as I was talking about the facts, I just remember that the little details which I mentioned earlier, there is one more detail, that is the tent in which the families were living as refugees, obviously after escaping Kashmir. So those tents were exact replication from the image which we can find on the internet of the tent when they were staying. I'm not saying that a tent is super different from others and they did a great job copying that, but no. The depiction of real thing in a fictional movie is a huge thing. In the movie, they were shown a lot of things which I don't know humanly. How is it acceptable? Like, for example, there was a picture of a kid who was shot on the head. And if you will watch those on the screen, you will feel horrified. At least I felt the same way, especially the last scene, which was so unacceptable. But maybe it was acceptable because it was realistic. Because we are so used to watch happy endings that I was not able to digest that. And there are a lot of scenes which might make you cry. I didn't cry in the theater because I knew that I did a good makeup and I didn't want it to ruin it. Even though my kajal was waterproof, but still, I controlled myself in a way I can't explain. Because there were at least 3 moments where I just couldn't control myself. I thought to burst out in tears, but I haven't. I know I am strong. So, anyway, if you're someone who is not going to watch the movie because you're thinking that, like, no, it is a thing about religion, it's just about Hindus, it's about Muslims, it's about degrading a community, believe me, you won't feel anything like that in the movie. So anyway, continuing the basic description of the movie, which I forgot, is that when Krishna comes back, he wanted to find answers that how his parents were killed. Because he was told that his parents were died in an accident. So Krishna tries to find out the truth. So this was the basic description which will be portrayed in the movie. And also there was a scene which was portrayed a lot of times that Kashmiri people living in Kashmir says like, we are Kashmiri, we are not a part of India, we are different, India is different, Indians are different. So yes, this basic discrimination will be portrayed in the movie. And there is one more scene which is very accurate, you can say. That is, in masjid, there will be people who will be shouting, I think the correct term is Ralib, Galib, Chalib, and the meaning of that will be mentioned in the movie only. But when they were shouting at the point of view of spreading that from the speakers of mosque, they also showed in a manner that, like, if you don't pay attention, you won't get that. Because the persons who were shouting from the mosques also or masjid, those persons were also terrorists. Those persons were the same persons who were manipulating people through the mosque and who disguised themselves as Kashmiri Muslims. So whoever is listening to the podcast and they're thinking like that Kashmiri Muslims killed those Hindus, please never think of that. Because it was not about a religion. It was about terrorism and the techniques which terrorists used to broke our country. The techniques which people use to brainwash the people in our country. And you know which country I'm talking about. Which country trained them. Which country also put that thing in their mind that there will be only Muslims in Kashmir. I mean, I just don't know how humans can go so far. I mean, manipulating, brainwashing normal people, making them terrorists, asking them to kill their people, then manipulating other people, and the cycle goes on. It's unbelievable harsh truth, which is a very light portray on the film. If you watch it very deeply, you can understand that. Anyway, as you know, season 1 is already ended. I never thought I will create this episode, but I really felt the need to create this episode. Because obviously, when I heard of the movie that it was about Kashmiri Pandits, the one thing which came to my mind is okay, this is a movie where they will show that Muslims slaughtered Hindus, and this is some anti Muslim movie. And this thought or the negative thoughts which might come in your mind too, because the term Pandits, which again is also described in the movie, like they broke down the term what Pandit means. It doesn't mean that Pandit is only Hindu, but I won't give you any spoiler, I won't give you any detail. Let me just leave that. Because to understand the movie, you have to watch it, and you have to watch every seconds of it from the beginning to the end. Okay, one more thing. Beginning of the movie was a bit slow, like starting 15 to 20 minutes after showing the movie name. Like before showing the movie name, it was interesting. After showing the movie name, when it's showing the present day, it was very slow kind of, but it was also something which the script needed. But anyway, we should understand that this is not a fiction, this is history. And in this movie, they just portrayed parts of behavior which really happened there. Because if they have showed the whole thing, then censor board will simply stop the movie. So, in the conclusion, I just want to say that either you are a Hindu or a Muslim or Christian, your religion won't matter. Just go and watch the movie, because I am really pushing you to go and watch it. But yes, if you are a weak-hearted person and you can't see graphic content, only at that point of time, don't watch the movie. But if you really want to learn something which happened in our past and learn that this is the most purest way without adultery, like about the whole incident, you can definitely go and watch the movie in theaters and support the creators, because this was really a masterpiece and they deserve the applause. I am Random Girl. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this whole bonus episode. I am signing off. Till then, take care.